Welcome to the ultimate cartoon movie hub. From timeless classics to the latest hits, we bring the best of animation to your screen. The series begins with two young sisters, one named Vi and the other named Powder. They lose their parents in a war that destroys the city of Piltover, and they are rescued by a man named Vander, who decides to raise them in a poor area full of thieves called the Undercity. Years pass, and the two girls grow up. They return to the city to steal from it with two friends, one named Milo and the other named Clagger. They all jump across rooftops except for Powder, who is scared. Vi helps and encourages her, and Powder finally jumps but nearly falls off the building due to her unsteady leap. Vi catches her just in time. They proceed cautiously to avoid being seen by the police. They break into a house and start looking for things to steal. Vi asks Powder to search for valuable items. Powder enters a room and finds a box containing blue orb-like jewels. She picks one up, looks at it curiously, and decides to take them all. The group is interrupted by someone trying to enter the room and they all flee. Powder accidentally causes an explosion that destroys part of the building. They run through the streets trying to escape the pursuing police and enter the sewer pipes. They are attacked by two homeless thieves who want a share of the loot they stole from the city. Vi and her friends fight off the attackers, except for Powder, who runs away with the bag of loot. One of the attackers chases her. She tries to hide and ends up throwing the bag into the water. The attacker follows the bag, and Powder returns to Vi and the others, who are upset with her for being weak and cowardly. Vi stops them from arguing with her sister and tells Powder that the most important thing is that she's safe, even if they lost all their loot. Milo complains that Powder always ruins their missions. However, Vi, the leader of the group and the strongest among them, orders him to stop talking. In the Undercity, which is full of thieves and thugs, a man named Haga negotiates with two others to sell stolen goods. Vander, the leader of the thieves, enters the scene and demands that Haga treat others with respect. Vi and her group arrive and ask Vander not to tell anyone about what happened. Vander confronts them for going to Piltover, which is off limits, and causing an explosion. Vi admits it was her idea and that she convinced the others to join her. She argues that Piltover has more opportunities than the areas they're used to stealing from. Vander scolds her, reminding her that she's the leader of the group and must be responsible for their safety. He orders them to stay hidden for a few days until the police calm down. Vander leaves the room and asks Clagger to walk with him and explain what happened in detail. Meanwhile, Powder discovers one of the blue orbs from the house they robbed. She rushes to show it to her sister, but overhears Vi talking to Milo, who complains that Powder's mistakes cost them dearly, such as losing today's loot, which was their biggest haul ever. Vi defends Powder, saying she's still young and bound to make mistakes. Milo retorts that Vi herself was more mature at Powder's age. Vi counters by pointing out Milo's own mistakes, such as boasting about their loot in front of the homeless thieves, which led to the fight. Elsewhere, Vander visits his friend Benzo, who sells stolen goods, and vents about the group's reckless behavior. Benzo advises him that it's normal for kids to grow up and have bigger aspirations. Vander mentions that someone from the Undercity was following and fighting with the kids. Benzo's young assistant overhears this and later speaks to Clagger, teaching him some self-defense moves. Suddenly, the police arrive, and Benzo's assistant tells Clagger to hide. The police confront Vander, accusing him of breaking their agreement to stay away from Piltover. They demand he hand over one of the kids as a scapegoat to calm the situation, but Vander refuses to betray any of them. Powder sits in her room, working on her hobby of making nail bombs. Vi finds her upset. Powder confesses that she'll never be a fighter like the others, but Vi reassures her that she doesn't need to be. While Vi has strength, Powder has intelligence. Powder laments that her inventions never work, but Vi encourages her, saying that one day her creations will succeed. Vi takes Powder to a special spot and shows her places where each member of their group has faced challenges and learned from them. She tells Powder that everyone has tough days and that it's normal. She also tells her to keep the blue orbs a secret and assures her that she's stronger than she realizes. Meanwhile, the man who attacked Vi and her group is being punished by Silco, who had ordered him to spy on them, not fight. A scientist working with Silco conducts experiments on a rat using a strange serum that turns it into a monster. He plans to test the serum on humans next. Elsewhere, Jace, whose house was broken into by Vi and her group, is shown unconscious after the explosion. He recalls memories of losing his mother during a storm when he was a child. The next, a strange person appears to him and takes him into a black hole. When the child wakes up, he finds himself in a completely different place full of greenery and plants. His mother wakes up and he calls out to Jace when he sees her alive once again. The strange person gives him the blue balls that Powder found in the house. The police arrive to investigate, and Jace regains consciousness, and the officer begins to interrogate him because he found many illegal equipment and ongoing scientific experiments in his house without the Academy's approval or authorization. The officer asks Jace who authorized his research, and he tells him it was self-research. The assistant dean of the Scientific Academy enters and tells Jace that the dean, who is also the president of the state council, requested his presence to investigate what happened. Jace is arrested and imprisoned. While in prison, a scientist named Heimerdinger visits Jace and tells him that he knows he has an extraordinary mind, but science should not be used in ways that harm people. Jace explains that his research discovered a way to harness magic with the help of science. Heimerdinger dismisses this as illogical, explaining that he has spent his life pursuing scientific mysteries, but has realized that some things should remain undiscovered because they are too dangerous. He advises Jace to admit his his mistake in court and avoid mentioning magic, suggesting that this way he might receive a lighter punishment. Meanwhile, Vi and her team hide underground as the police search for them everywhere, interrogating people. However, the police eventually find them and attack. They attempt to escape. On the other side, a state council advisor discusses with her assistant the need for a new invention that will put the city on the map and distinguish it. She inquires about the day's trial, and her assistant tells her about Jace, a scientist and inventor from a family renowned for their genius inventions, and notes that Heimerdinger is fond of him. At this time, the residents of the Undercity argue with Vander, accusing him of being too afraid to fight back against the police's attack. Vander reminds them of the time they crossed the bridge, which ended in a massive war with heavy losses. However, they accuse him of only trying to protect his children out of fear. One resident questions why the founder of the Undercity is afraid to fight. Vander explains that he is trying to protect everyone, not just his children, and insists he is not afraid of anything. Jace's trial begins in the city council, where he is accused of conducting illegal experiments and endangering Piltover. Jace admits his mistake, stating that he was unaware of the dangers of the materials he was using, and requests forgiveness to continue his studies and work at the academy. The council is divided on how to judge Jace, with some in favor and others against. The head judge asks Jace about the outcome of his experiments, and he replies that he has not achieved anything yet. However, after hearing their criticisms, he declares that he is working to harness magic through science to serve society. The council objects, arguing that magic has brought a curse upon their city and should be rejected. Jace counters, claiming that they are masters of science and can control magic through it if they overcome their fear. Heimerdinger opposes this, stating that magic has destroyed many civilizations when placed in the wrong hands, and that he will not allow their city, founded to avoid magical wars, to be destroyed. Jace's mother intervenes in the trial, pleading with the council to let her son return home under her care, claiming he is mentally unstable. After a vote, the council decides to expel Jace from the academy and place him under his family's care. Back home, Jace is upset that his mother, who was saved by magic, did not support him in court. She defends herself, explaining that while magic saved her, it could not save him in court. Heimerdinger discusses with his assistant, who was impressed by Jace's research, stating that the research is nonsense and that developing magic is impossible. He insists they must completely eliminate the research because it poses a danger. Meanwhile, Silco meets with a police officer searching for Vi and her group, offering to help him in his mission. Silco later returns to his lab, where he conducts scientific experiments with another scientist. He discusses with the person he sent to spy on Vi and her group, and reveals that he has created powerful monsters using a specific substance. He urges the person to drink the substance to gain strength and control the world. Upon drinking it, the person transforms into a monster. Jace meets his friend Caitlin, the daughter of a city council member, who tells him that her family forbids her from speaking to him, viewing him as an outcast and madman. Caitlin's mother calls her inside, and Jace apologizes to her. Caitlin's mother demands that Jace stay away from her family. The city council leaders and advisors meet with the police, who assure them they are doing their best to solve the case and find those who tried to steal Jace's research. The police raid Vander's tavern, searching for Vi and her group, who are hiding in the basement. The police fail to find them and leave, frustrated and issuing threats. Vi confronts Vander after discovering he is cooperating with the police, accusing him of betrayal. Vander explains that his anger in the past led to decisions that caused him to lose many people, including her parents, when he tried to fight Piltover. He warns her that if she chooses to fight Piltover, she will also lose loved ones, just as he did. Vander insists that no one wins in wars and promises to find an alternative solution. The assistant dean of the academy, Victor, visits Jace and expresses admiration for his ideas. Victor shares his own experience of being undervalued and treated as inferior when he moved from the Undercity to Piltover, but he believed in himself and eventually achieved his position. He encourages Jace to continue his research and not wait for others to believe in him. Vi's sister Powder shows her the nail bombs and smoke bombs she has made, confident they will work this time. Grayson argues with her colleague for raiding the Undercity without informing her, warning that the Undercity residents will surely retaliate. Vander decides to sacrifice himself, sending Grayson a message about his decision. He locks Vi in a room, asking her to take care of the others. He tells her he is proud of her, but she does not understand what is happening. The police officers come to take Vander, but Grayson initially refuses to arrest Vander, who helps maintain the balance between the Undercity and Piltover. However, Vander assures her that his friend Benzo can take over leadership after him. Suddenly, Silco enters and kills Grayson. Another officer becomes upset and tells Silco that this was not part of their agreement. Silco responds that the agreement has changed, throws money on the ground, and orders his monster, who was once human, to attack Vander, knocking him unconscious and taking him away. Vi sits crying in her room after witnessing what happened through the window. Echo enters, crying in her arms, and tells her he saw everything. Meanwhile, Jace resumes his scientific experiments with Victor, who warns him that his research will be destroyed. Jace insists they need concrete evidence of their research results, equations, and theories to convince the city council. Silco takes Vander to his hideout, where he is preparing large quantities of the serum that creates monsters. He tells Vander that violence is the only way to win the struggle between the Undercity and Piltover. Vander responds that he will not win the war against Piltover, even with his monsters. Silco replies that he is not interested in winning. It's enough to scare them and keep them away from the Undercity. Vander accuses Silco of causing unnecessary deaths out of pride and arrogance. Silco counters by accusing Vander of betrayal for making peace and agreements with the people of Piltover, forgetting all they had done to them. Meanwhile, Heimerdinger and Jace break into the Dean's office to steal the research, but are caught by a council advisor. She becomes excited by their risky endeavor and the potential of their world-changing research. She gives them one last chance to impress her with results, otherwise she will report them to the council. Vi informs her group that Benzo was killed and Vander was kidnapped. They decide to rescue him, but Vi refuses to let Powder join them, believing she is not ready, especially after seeing the monster that killed Benzo. She gives her sister a flare, telling her to use it if she needs help, and leaves with the others. Jace and Victor begin their experiments to control the magic stone in the Academy lab, while Powder sits crying, feeling helpless and weak. She takes out her colorful gadgets and gets an idea to help her sister and the others. Meanwhile, Vi and her friends reach the old warehouse where Vander is held. They try to free him from his chains, but Silco and his followers appear. Vi decides to confront them. Powder arrives at the warehouse and sees her sister fighting Silco's followers. Milo succeeds in unchaining Vander. Silco's assistant drinks the mysterious serum, transforming into a monster, and confronts Vi. Powder sees her sister being thrown by the monster and decides to use her gadgets to help. Jace and Victor succeed in their experiment, and the Dean is amazed by their achievement. However, Powder's bomb explodes in the warehouse, causing chaos. Silco orders the monster to kill Vander and his followers. Vander fights the monster and then confronts Silco but cannot kill him because he still loves him as a brother. Silco throws Vander off, but Vander manages to drink the serum before the monster can get it, transforming into a monster himself. Vander attacks Silco, who becomes terrified, and then decides to take the monster outside the warehouse before the fire reaches it. He tells Vi to take care of Powder before dying. Powder enters and excitedly tells her sister that her bomb finally worked. However, Vi yells at her, saying she told her to stay away. She blames Powder for the disaster, saying Milo was right to call her a jinx. Powder cries and says she only wanted to help and save them, not cause Vander's death. Silco enters and finds Powder crying alone after Vi left her, and a police officer kidnapped her. He asks about Vi, and Powder says she abandoned her and no longer considers her a sister. Silco hugs her and decides to take her in his team. Jace is surprised to learn from the Academy Dean that he has been chosen to deliver the keynote speech at the annual Progress Day celebration, a role traditionally reserved for the Dean. The Dean tells Jace he deserves the honor because his Hextech project has succeeded, attracting scientists from all over and elevating their city's scientific reputation. Jace tells the Dean he has a big surprise planned with Victor for the celebration. During the Progress Day event, people showcase their inventions and discoveries. Jace meets his friend Caitlin and invites her to attend his speech. Meanwhile, a ship is attacked by a masked gang, revealed to be Powder, who uses her bombs to destroy the place. She confronts the gang alone with her self-developed weapons. Caitlin, now a police officer, investigates the ship attack. She finds a man from the Undercity imprisoned on the ship who insists he did nothing wrong. Caitlin tries to learn who was responsible, but another officer interrupts, telling her the investigation is not her responsibility and that her job is to protect her mother's tent at the festival. Caitlin argues that her mother doesn't need protection, but the officer insists she follow orders. Silco, revealed to be behind the smuggling operation, argues with his assistant, who blames Powder for the mission's failure. Silco, however, holds his assistant primarily responsible. Frustrated, she leaves his office. Silco meets Powder, who is now called Jinx after he adopted her. He tells her she needs some time to rest so that what happened during the last mission doesn't happen again and cause him to lose a lot of work. Jinx tells him she doesn't need a break, but Silco insists on giving her one to help her calm down. Jinx sits alone, upset by Silco's words, feeling that he sees her as weak, and she decides to prove him wrong. Jace visits the counselor who had helped him with his experiment in the past and tells her about the Dean's rejection of the new project involving the use of the magical crystals. She tells him that the Day of Progress is the most important opportunity to present all their new ideas and that he can't afford to wait. She also says that the Dean is an old man with outdated ideas and that the Academy needs new leadership. She advises him to share his vision for the future in his speech and impress the people so he can secure his place and achieve his dreams of changing the world for the better and implementing his ideas. Jace goes to the platform and delivers his speech, sharing his vision for the future and impressing the audience. However, he decides not to disclose the progress made on the magical crystal project. He promises the audience that he will amaze them at the right time with something that will change the world. The counselor becomes upset that he didn't openly talk about the new project and leaves the event. The police mock him for not presenting anything new at the festival. Suddenly, a fire breaks out in the venue, and the police rush to extinguish it. They hear the voice of a girl calling for help and discover it's Jinx, who had caused the fire. The research papers belonging to Jace, along with the magical crystal, are stolen. The state council declares that they have neglected the Undercity and become too distracted, allowing chaos to unfold and thefts to occur. Jace apologizes to the council for failing to protect his research. However, Councillor Medarda suggests adding a seat in the state council for Jace after he declared his full loyalty to the nation to the extent that he offered to halt all activities related to his project to ensure the safety of the country and its people until the thieves are caught and the research and magical crystal are recovered. Silco gets into an argument with Jinx after learning that she blew up a building, causing the death of 6 police officers. Jinx shows him the magical crystal she stole from Jace's lab and says, "Happy Progress Day." Before hugging him, Jace meets his friend Caitlin, who had been working to piece together the clues and identify the person responsible for all the chaos happening in the city. Caitlin is surprised to learn from Jace that he has become a state counselor. He offers her a position on his team, making her responsible for his security and protection. Caitlin hesitates and tells him it's an honorary position that would confine her to an office, and she refused the position. Stay tuned for a summary of the second part of the series to continue all the events. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell to get more new videos. See you next time.